Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Art Chemistry with us all. And I would like to introduce everyone to Annikki Hill, who is an awesome writer and
painter.
Artist.
Artist. Yes.
She's an artist herself.
Yes.
Well, actually, it's amazing artist because you're gonna find out how many things she can do.
Yeah, I would really like to
This
know.
way?
I know. From
Yes.
what I've heard already, there's a
It's a-
startup, there's an amazing book over here. All right, Signs of Us.
I have mine here.
Ooh, yeah, over here. Yep.
Sign
we
of
all
Us.
have copies. There we go.
We are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna share with you. Don't worry, you'll get yours.
And
Honey, I
it's
promise.
written by the one and only
Yes.
Annikki Hill. An exploration, Signs of Us, an exploration of Caymanian identity in poetry. Annikki, what would you like to share about this book?
Well, I'll tell you the background of it. Well, first of all, this is a place that I spend a lot of time. I just haven't been on your podcast yet, so thank you for having me, guys.
First of all, introduce yourself. Annikki Hills.
So I'm Annikki Hill. I have been writing poetry since I was a little girl.
Nice.
And I've been journaling for a very, very long time. So a couple of years ago, I was asked to perform some poems for an event that was held by my mentor to honor my mentor, Mr. Roy Bodden, and the symposium, the Roy Bodden Symposium.
Okay.
And when I was going through my journals to find poetry, I found about 200 poems.
That's
over
crazy.
the course
Okay.
of several years.
Yeah.
So I started to put them all together and just like type them up and get them collated. But at the same time, I was in hair painting a lot with Carlos. I mean, I've been
okay.
painting hair and at the previous iterations of the gallery for years now. At this point, Carlos, has been a long time. Huh?
Was that how you and Carlos first kind of became friends or became acquainted?
Do you remember when I met you?
I think it was when we were painting in town.
You were doing a mural and I was doing another one on the same wall.
in the same wall, the same
And-
plaza. Yeah.
Yeah. It
cool.
was a funny day actually because I was like, who is this guy? Just standing up staring at my painting. Who does he think he is? And then he turns out.
I never knew that you were thinking about that like that way.
No, not at all.
I was
but-
trying to be your shield. Hey,
'cause
who's this
he
girl?
looks like-
It looked like Caymanian to me. I was like,
Yeah, because he was very, very curious. But I was like, who is this fella up in my business? But it's so funny because then I started to watch them paint, and they were doing such a great job on their paintings. These guys are like mural professionals.
and then
so-
she said a little bit of in Spanish, something in Spanish, and then oh, I got you. You have some mix. You have some
Like,
mix
oh, she's
there.
one of us.
We
Where
watch out, this girl was
doing
like.
murals?
I was doing a mural, and I don't think it's there anymore. But I think they took most of them
Can we say the
down.
plaza? Where is it?
It was at the
No?
plaza. There was a plaza in town. that
Come
we
on,
did
why
some-
not? It was
some
my
murals
friend
on.
Plaza.
Was it? Yeah, what was it Bernard Plaza?
Mr. Bernard, yeah.
Yeah. Bernard Plaza.
We
I
were
didn't know he
doing
was a
we were
muralist
doing
as
the
well.
project for this bar
well, you
here.
see, I'm not really a muralist. That was my first mural.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Was that like?
Well, I didn't know. I just know
Or
now.
I'd done one when I was in school. I had done a mural before when I was in school, but I hadn't really gotten into murals because I was more into at the time I was more into watercolor. And,
Nice, okay.
And I love watercolor.
Ooh, cool.
By the way, I want to
Same
say
here.
something. I remember when you invited me to your house
Yeah.
and you told me like you paint and all that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe you just paint one and that's it, and you just do it for fun. But then she said, Carlo, let's come and see my artwork. And we went to her room. And I thought she was
Surprise.
and then she started pulling like 20 pieces under the bed.
Oh, wow.
Under the bed.
That's so
and then she went to the storage room and pick up some 5 pieces, big pieces.
Yeah.
And then like
A lot of art.
a lot of art she was hiding there, and I go like, whoa, what do
Yeah.
you do it? And like, what you do with this art? Why you hide it? And I was like, wonder
Do you
why you don't
paint?
share with everyone or you have it in a gallery.
Yeah. Do you paint about Caymanian identity as well, like in your poetry?
Not I think naturally because I identify as Caymanian. It ends
Of
up
course.
being a little bit like that, but
Okay.
I I get into phases, you know. So I was in a drawing phase at one point. So I did a lot of graphite. I was doing graphite, like portraiture. You've seen some of my work in the graphite stuff.
We should get one of her pieces, bro.
Yeah,
But then I got into
Henry, can you help
I
me
got
with
into my ink.
that? Let me
you
know if you
know.
need some help. Or you just keep talking. We're just gonna get it.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Pull
Tell
out
us
the
a
evidence,
bit more. Yeah,
the
because
receipts.
I'm so curious. You do so many like different types of mediums. You do ink,
Yeah.
you do watercolor, you also mural, and
Yeah.
so you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. I also love watercolor and ink.
I like
So,
the
yeah.
fluidity, and I think that
Yeah.
ink has stuck with me, but watercolor I keep going back to because it was my original medium.
Cool,
I really loved it
okay.
from the time I was a little kid. So
Yeah.
and it was an easy thing I think for my parents to let me work with, you know, because you can wash out watercolor pretty easily. But yeah, and kids get messy. But my dad was an artist, right? So
Oh, I
my dad is
see.
an artist, and
Okay.
he always kind of encouraged that kind of stuff. But in our house, there was always some form of expression.
Nice.
So I was either writing or my brother is an amazing artist. Like he does a lot of pen art though, and he keeps it to himself.
Oh, cool.
I forgot
Oh my
about that
gosh.
one.
Oh, I really like the blue one. Yeah. Oh,
This is
This is
one of
yours.
Annikki's
Yeah, this one is mine.
artwork,
yeah, okay.
and that's
So this is
another
mostly
one.
ink, and this is a combination of ink
I
and
love that one.
acrylic. Yeah, this
Oh,
one here.
acrylic and ink.
Yeah, this one's acrylic and ink. They're both, I think, a mix of acrylic and ink, but I always have multiple things going on.
How did you get like this texturing here, the scaling on the Monstera leaf?
I drew that by hand.
Oh, you did? Okay, I thought you like pressed the thing. Okay,
No,
that's
that was drawn by hand.
cool. Nice. Very cool. And you used Posca?
I used what's that?
like the Posca pens?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
you might want to put that up closer. But yeah,
Okay.
I use the Posca pens. I love them. I really do.
Yeah.
Where you use pastel pen here?
Posca.
Posca.
Oh, Posca.
Yeah, the
here,
brand.
pastel.
It's like the acrylic pens.
The other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes
yes.
them a lot.
Yeah.
Alejandro really likes them.
Okay. This is okay. I guess first I'll ask about this. Why did you paint like plants and
So this is
like
a phase.
yes? Okay.
So I go through these phases,
Okay.
right? So I, a couple of phases I've been through. Most recently in this size and in this series, I was really focusing on the Monstera leaf
Okay.
and how to integrate it. But then I got carried away with it's very much a botanical series.
Yeah.
You did like 4 or 5 of this one, right? I
did-
remember.
think it
You
was
sold a couple
4.
ones.
There was a yellow one that was sold.
The
that
green
was
one,
yeah,
yeah.
the green and yellow with the Monstera.
That was
one
beautiful.
of my favorites. But this is more like a bougainvillea.
I know that you are
Yeah.
like passionate
Oh, I
about
can see
flowers. You have a garden, and
Yeah.
you get inspired by all these flowers.
And we
That's
grow
cool.
we grow things. He wants us to switch.
No, it's good.
Keep But it's so this is one
Okay.
of that series. But then I have another. There are a couple others in that series.
It's like a
You know,
botanical
it was
series.
because there was a hibiscus.
Mm.
And that hibiscus I keep forgetting about because it was a gift, but it was probably the most powerful one because it had a prayer written into it
Wow.
in gold in the background.
Well, you have the Ponciana one, which is over
There's a
there.
poinciana. That one. There's another piece on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Up
yeah,
there,
that
there's
one.
like a-
I love that.
It's not really poinciana, but it's poinciana inspired because it's a lot of interpretation there as well, right?
Yeah. I love the blending that you create here. Like
Here?
just yeah, exactly. All this
With the
texture is so
colours.
nice. How did you do that?
So this was a very wet canvas,
Okay.
and I threw the colors in that I wanted to be in,
Okay.
and I do a lot of like the finger movement.
Okay.
And dropping. So this splash, for instance, you'll see.
And so it's
But
ink.
it's ink.
Okay.
It's acrylic ink. And some of it was India ink. And then I love the interaction of India ink with the acrylic ink because it separates it. There's like the alcohol.
What
splits it.
but-
what is the
Really
difference
nice effect.
between Indian ink and other regular ink? What is
So-
special about it?
Alcohol-based.
Yeah, one is alcohol based and one is and India ink is also different from alcohol ink because alcohol ink is often like the new bottles that you see with alcohol ink is not as pigmented as the original India inks. right? So the India inks are much more pigmented to the best of my knowledge.
And then when alcohol drops into any other ink, it creates
Separates.
like an interesting kind of sucking effect.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't explain it as well, but
It's like a separation.
Yes,
it's like when
yeah.
you put
They don't
salt
mix.
on
They
acrylic.
just blend, but they don't
Yeah,
without
yeah.
mixing.
They don't mix. They separate. They repel.
Interesting.
yeah, they repel.
So
So
they
you
makes
use
it
this to
beautiful to
create
watch.
effects. Like,
Yeah.
do you have something here with
I
that?
do.
Yeah,
I
can you
have.
point it out?
So I think this is some alcohol in here that you can see where it's separating along here,
And create a
Um,
different texture here.
and the gold was alcohol based as well. So there's not a lot of it, but the gold was splashed. And now if I put something over that gold will still come through, right? So the alcohol is it really staying power.
Question there, of course, just point to ask the background, the ink. To work it, you work it flat.
I
to
work it
get
flat,
out,
yes.
to have control,
Yeah,
fluidity.
By the way,
I've seen you work.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's
So
why
I kneel
just
down next
wanted
to next to the canvas and move with my hands.
Yeah.
You
I,
have
wa-
video.
I was
Yeah.
I was
doing
saying
it.
that she painted here in the
Yes.
in the
Yeah,
gallery.
this was
that's
right here
all,
on the
yeah.
floor, right there, actually.
Those moments we were like, totally messed here.
Why did you decide to do Bougainvillea and then Monstera? Like, why did you decide to put them together?
I think I was a little bit obsessed with the
Okay.
Monstera leaf at the time.
Okay.
And you'll see it
just
even
wanted to
comes
know.
through in the negative space.
Okay.
And I what I loved about it is that with this pattern, it looks like fish scales.
Yeah.
And I just the Bougainvillea.
See it, yeah.
The Bougainvillea just was it was in bloom at the time, and I was starting to collect pieces from
Okay,
around my
cool.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it was just on my mind. But you'll see that I have I have a motif
Yeah, I see
that is
that.
in the leaf that is very similar to my tattoo.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Is
there's
there
a
a
lot of,
connection there for you? Like, why do you like swirls?
I didn't actually notice that there was
Okay.
a connection, but this for me has religious significance. That we don't need to get into tonight. That's a whole other.
okay.
That's
That's
another
that is
story.
not this podcast, right?
I,
But there's
But it's
there's
close
a
to you. Symbolism.
very much.
I
It's
have
kind
a
of like a paisley.
I have a
looking
question for for Andy now first.
Yep.
Okay.
Do it that you were like similar with similar materials,
Yes.
but
Yeah, like
you are more like need very meticulously delicate and precise to do.
Yeah.
And for your side, you are using the same materials in a different way, more abstract, more
Chaos.
loose, more chaos.
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, can you work the same style? Like, you can do this, or you feel comfy working in this style, or how you tried before? And for you, like, how you work in hairstyle, like, before? I know that
To
you do
expand
because
range,
you know you draw a lot too. But how you working in that way of
You
more?
go first.
Okay.
Neat.
Okay. If I go first, I would say, I honestly have not ever completed an abstract myself in my entire life. I have never done an abstract. I've only planned my pieces and then thought about the composition and then use graphite to sketch it all out and then
Yeah.
ink it and then wait for a while and think about how I want to apply the watercolor
Yeah.
to it.
So you-
it's very controlled, I guess.
So you wanna control the ink?
To
Yeah.
be honest, I would love to be able to lose control. And when I say that is because I see that you have such good understanding of different types of materials.
Uh-huh.
Like it is not just watercolor and ink. And you need to know, for example,
Mm-hmm.
when like waiting for one layer to dry and then thinking next, okay, I want to splatter in a certain direction, I want to get this look
Turn
of
it
a
lean.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's actually so much thinking that goes into this abstract, even though you have this, like, I know that you didn't put each dot specifically, but you went, okay, I need to control it in this way to create a movement, and I think that's all also requires a lot of thinking,
And
Like,
because
well-
because the style is totally different.
Yeah.
I think, for example, I saw you that you first throw the background, and you had to wait till next day to get dry in order to continue with this, which is.
But you would also
you
see-
see the intention of you had to create something.
But there's a
with,
trust,
right?
right?
All the time.
So there's
you
a
need-
trust in your materials that I think this requires because, and I love that you say that because the control and the planning is how I will do a watercolor, right? So I had to sketch my watercolor, and then anything to do with graphite. You have to really be intentional about that. Whereas what I love about the fluidity of ink is that it moves on its own. So you are partnering with it in this style. You are partnering with the ink to do its own thing. So it's almost like I'm just here to facilitate what it wants to become. And so you'll see that when I come the next day to see if it's dry, like, so usually I'll leave a piece here on the floor overnight, and I'll come the next day and I'm like, I can't wait to see how it dries. Or I'll message Carlos and say, can you please take a picture of it in the morning, because I have no idea what it's gonna do, right? So you have no idea.
Because always when you leave, like, it looks like in a way, obviously because it's still wet. But then the next day, it kind of keeps the same design, but it changes.
It shifts sometimes.
Yeah, it changes
and if
sometimes.
there's any movement in the night. But there's something else that I really love about it, which is that I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to my day-to-day life. Like my environment, my desk, like it needs to be exactly where I want it to be, even if it doesn't look like control to someone else, or if it doesn't look like tidy to someone else. So it was actually a practice of mine and it was something that a coach suggested that I do, who was also an artist, to go and throw myself into something where I did not have control and come to peace with it. So it was an actual intentional practice.
Oh my gosh.
It's your way to
go
get
and throw it.
relaxed,
So important to have a
to
mentor.
release all the stress.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Must be the way that you release all your stress.
Yeah.
You
It's the one place where I don't have to be fully in control. And that's what I love about ink, because the ink does its own thing. And you'll see me. Sometimes I'll do it from a high, I'll splash it. I'll get alcohol, put it in a spray bottle. I'll go to the side. Like, there's a lot.
And at the
of
same time
stuff
you
that
do
gets into
intervention,
it.
as I see when you were working, I saw that you were using another tools to also create patterns and change the way the ink were.
I've used
acting.
paper
That's
towel,
true.
like the paper towel that has like patterns in it, like impressions. I've used that.
I saw you
for
sponge. I
pieces.
saw you use
Yeah,
sponge.
sponge. There's shapes that we can use, but
Straws.
But I never draw first. So the difference
Yeah,
is that
okay.
let it become what it will be. I only choose colors, and the colors are really chosen from a place of feeling. Like, how do I feel today? What do I want to create today? What am I expressing? So then I'll find multiple colors that go with that, and then it'll be so the piece will be surrounded by these bottles of ink, a spray bottle of water, and sometimes tissue just to sop it up so I don't flood the place. But
I would
then
really like to see your process.
we should do it one
I
day. We
think-
should do something.
I think, especially that part where you have to be really free when you're throwing the ink, is something that I would love to try just because of that.
Yeah.
Of the, like, you don't have control of anything. You just let, go with the flow. And I'm
And then
like
afterwards,
that
it tells you what it wants to be. It tells you once it's dry, you look at it and say, "Hey, what wants to come out here?"
you see it there.
That's so
You
cool.
see it there.
It
and
looks
then-
like a flower. It
Yeah.
looks like a, whatever the object that you see, and then you start from
you
that.
gotta like revisit the piece.
Can we change? Can we use the other one?
No, we'll move on to
Yeah.
to the,
Because I think it's important to
Yeah,
show
sure.
that ink. I mean, in this case,
Different
she
examples.
worked with different materials also,
Yeah.
and this is an example of that. Like, she used ink.
Well, actually-
it's acrylic.
But
There's a secret to this
yes,
one, though.
I was
You
going
see the
to ask
words,
that.
right?
I remember you writing something there.
I
on
do
this,
see words
and I
behind it.
remember.
All right. So in my book, there's a poem called Cayman Waters. I wrote some of this poem before I even finished the poem onto this canvas and began to paint over it. And whatever survived the painting was meant to survive. But it's almost like a blessing of the piece. And you'll see that it was one of those places where I had no idea what it would become. I just knew the colors. And I knew that the theme would be water. But what eventually came was this space that was almost like two layers. Then I saw the space around the orb. So I pulled the orb out after the first initial dry.
Okay, so you accentuated the orb on
I
purpose.
did
Okay.
pull the orb out on purpose.
Nice.
But it was just a matter of sometimes I will do something in like a blue palette when I myself want to cool off.
see.
whether that's emotionally or just
Oh,
like
I love
if I-
that.
yeah, it's
Okay.
it's something. It does something to me to just absorb, to just like get obsessed with this color palette for a while.
Was it because you would also have you gone to the ocean to have a reset before?
Oh yes.
Yeah, many times.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a
Okay.
that's a key man thing, I think.
Yeah.
Like we go back to the ocean when we're not well, when we're tired, when we're angry, when we're exhausted. So it's a healing space. So there's something about recreating that without having to go there, right? So
That's
that
so
was
cool.
that was a part of the practice of this piece.
Is it possible to find a word there? I see a few words.
Yeah. The word swell is what
Swell.
reminded me of which one,
Swell.
what I used there.
Okay,
The
yeah,
swell
yeah.
of the
I
waters.
didn't notice that one. There's raced. So I kind of like it because it's describing movement of water as well.
Yeah.
Like water
It was a
can
poem
race.
about
like-
water. It was
yeah.
actually a poem about water.
Roosters.
And to me,
Yeah.
it looks really, really
Roosters.
calm.
I can actually read that poem
transmit
'cause
that
it's
It would be
calmness.
interesting
Yeah,
because we
I
have
agree.
roosters here.
Even though
Yeah.
the colors are dramatic and dark.
Yeah,
there is
but
a
you,
calmness.
as you know, that it's a drop
Tapping.
of water.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It
So you
does
can
still look
see
like
some
I
of
something
it.
that definitely I would
Yes.
have it in my room.
Deep.
I almost thought it was a
Be-
mother of pearl because
would be
there's like a
interesting.
purity to the.
But it also looks like the
Bubble.
shape of a shell too,
Yeah,
right?
it
There's
does. It looks
something
like a
about
shape.
it
So
that
there's so
cushions
much
it in.
to it. Like I also feel there's symbolism, like because mother of pearl is kind of like fertility and that water thing. Well, like
Funny enough,
Is
yes.
this poem?
I know, is
in
the
The
this
poem
book?
is in the
Signs
book.
of us?
It is
Okay,
in the book.
cool.
I,
Can you read a little bit?
Please.
It wasn't the one that I had pulled aside for you, but I will definitely find. I think it was a particular
Oh my
verse.
gosh, this is so cool. Yes, read it
Yeah.
next to.
So it's a very long poem.
Oh.
Okay,
But just can you read a little bit?
I will read a
A
little
little bit. Just the part where's the rooster.
just a little bit of it. You want the rooster part, right? Oh, where is it? Yes. Okay. I'll read the first verse of it.
Okay.
Barefoot, through weeds and red mole, before old people said, sun would bun her in her bed. She raced sleep and the crickets to the deep hole, the pail trailing, tapping out the rhythm for the rooster's sunrise solo at the well. This was the woman's path she was born to follow. Her mother, harvester of salty shallows, father, conqueror of foreign deeps, brother, would-be king of duppy waters, and she, with her sweet morning bucket haul to keep them all alive, proud to play her part. She was only 5. Salt in the blood, sweet in the well, we rise with the tides and roll with the swell of the waters.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
That was
Beautiful.
Cayman Waters.
Wow.
That's really beautiful.
So you kind of talk about water and like being descendant from it. I think there's a really nice
Yeah.
motif there.
Yeah.
Is that also kind of part of the painting, or I guess where did you get that?
So I was in the
connection?
middle of writing this poem when I did this painting, but this happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I'll be, and it's not specific to water necessarily, but I will be deep in a thought. So I wrote a poem the other day that is not in my book, and I don't actually have it on me right now, but I wrote it in the shower. It was in my head in the shower, and I just remember it coming to me. I have enough pockets to hold my brother's grudges. Right, so and it's it's a brilliant poem. It's one of the best I've ever written.
That's good.
But I can't tell you that it came to me in the shower. I can't tell you that I sat down and labored over it. So I came out of the shower, ran to the kitchen to get a pen to write it down, and then I wrote it was like a 15-line poem straight out of my head, no editing, nothing. But that's what happens sometimes. The same thing that happens with paintings, right?
Yeah.
So you have this image, and you have to bring it to life, and you want to bring it to life true to the way it came to you. Yeah, so
Oh
you're trying
my
to bring it to life true to the way it came to you. So,
I feel like you eat, breathe, and like live art. Like you think about it.
but
and
don't
you
we
think-
all?
Yeah, I guess so.
Don't we all?
But
We
like,
just
you
don't
think
call it
poems in your
art,
head,
right?
And then you even stop and you seize that opportunity to like write down your
Oh, yeah.
poem. Oh
Listen.
my gosh.
I have forgotten so many
Annikki is
poems.
super talented, like a super talented. She not only is a writer or But you see, she paints, but also she paints.
Will she
She's a singer. She
singer?
sings, and she plays the piano also.
Oh.
Okay,
And she plays the piano also.
really?
It's been a long time since I've sung.
For those who remember,
psycho,
for
though.
those who
It's
know
psycho.
her and remember where she used to play.
Where at Havana Club?
Oh, we
Yeah.
used to go to Havana
to
Club,
paint.
Yeah.
right, on Wednesday or Thursday, I remember. Something like that.
One of those nights.
You
be-
one night.
It was like a collective space for artists to go and play musicians
Uh-huh.
and singers, and Annikki was one of those amazing singers in the night. And for me, it was super easy just to connect with music and paint my stuff there, and you know, because I was like enjoying the
what'd you
music,
sing?
good
I'm
singers.
curious.
I
What
was
songs
among, you
did
know,
you sing?
Lord.
that was my spot.
Just like
It was a
songs
good.
that I
It was
would know.
never a
like,
lovely place.
Good day, yeah, good days,
So
definitely.
it was a cigar lounge, and there was a grand piano in the middle of it,
Okay.
alongside the bar, and then they put a drum kit toward the end. So they would, artists would come and you'd bring your instruments and you do your own thing, and
They were a
Just
piano,
go
they were
sing.
drums, they were people who bring trumpets, violin,
but I'm a
guitars,
closet
but-
pianist. I don't play in public. I don't
But,
play the piano.
But
in
the
public.
only bad thing that there was a cigar bar. Not
Yeah.
everybody was happy to
I
be
couldn't
among
go. I used to
cigars all
wheeze.
night.
Okay.
But I would
Go
love to
often.
see maybe a businessman, see these programs
Making
and
a
put
space
something in space
for
where
a
all
collective
artists
group
can
of
go and
artists,
sing.
Because it was a
musicians.
Play.
busy place. They were those weeks. I don't think it was ever empty on a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday. It was always full.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
you were saying something.
No,
You were talking. You were talking, bro. Just-
no, you were saying to make a group of the collective.
Well, you
for-
figure out what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I have a poem that I wanted to share because
Yes,
it's
I'd like
so.
to.
please.
We are living in a time
Yes.
of hurricanes right now,
Mhm.
and right now we are. While this is being recorded, Tampa is about to get hit by Hurricane
Horrible,
Milton, and so my book, which is out today on Amazon, by the way, it means I got the news today.
Fireworks.
It is Signs of Us.
Signs of
Yeah,
us.
but it's not-
It's actually an exploration of the Caymanian identity in poetry, but one of the things that I acknowledge throughout the book is that as Cayman people, we are very much connected to the land and to the sea, and so the conversation around development, around over tourism, around the cruise port. Like I actually have poems in here that I wrote after going to protests against the cruise port, and which of course has come up again. But we'll just leave that one alone for tonight. I'm not gonna do Alejandro.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Let's avoid.
We're
topic.
not gonna get into that so much, but just to say that
Alejandro's coming.
a lot of the things that Caymanians are angry about are things that I wrote about, right? So it's a book that's really funny because there's some of it is really gentle, like something I penned with my morning coffee that brings you into what it feels like in the morning. All right, here we go.
I like
Yeah. Okay.
This
What's
is
the
not
title?
the
What's
very.
the
This
title?
is not the super angry one. This one is about hurricanes
Yes.
specifically, but you'll hear the irony of it, right? It's called Hurricane Prayers. The Christian God has always bent his magnanimous ear to hear the prayers for protection that rise in clouds when watch turns to warning and paradise morning gives its afternoon to hell. My people thank him after for taking the time to review their application and giving them the opportunity to prove themselves worthy of the job of surviving. He climbs his creaky stairway back to the Christian heaven, slowly drawing up his light behind him. It takes a few weeks or months to fade. And as it does, my people return to apply their shoulders to the wheel, the deal, the paycheck, the contract, the development, the construction, the wanton destruction, until they feel the weight settle back on their shoulders, the burdens of their mistakes, their land sales, their poorly cast and purchased votes, their inequality, lack of transparency, completely missing sense of agency. They revert back to parking lot warriors after the boardroom fight has been lost. Domino table politicians saying what they should have said, fighting the fight they should have fought. Too late and all for naught. Soon it is time to pray again, but it is Huracan who hears, and we turn the captain's wheel again.
Wow.
So
Powerful,
profound. That has
powerful
so many
message.
levels.
Bravo.
Amazing.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you're sharing your perspective, and it is in such a poetic way. At the same time, like people, I feel like I can't help but listen. Like, yeah. I mean, also when you were writing this, I guess, what was there a specific hurricane that inspired this particular one, or was it through many experiences here? And
I think it was. So I've always found it a little bit amusing and tongue in cheek how Christian Cayman claims to be, right? And how we do pray a lot when something is about to go to hell, but we don't protect ourselves when the danger is past by making good decisions. We're constantly relying on going into and you see this around election.
yeah, I feel like you're highlighting this repeat of like this cycle of
You have to just
something.
face this, okay? This is
cycle
not
of
me being
dissatisfaction.
political. This is a fact of Cayman life.
Just say it. Just
Before
say it.
election,
Just your
every
perspective.
politician is knocking down the church door.
Okay.
And some of
No,
so
Don't go there.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like it's
you gotta
a
speak the truth sometimes.
it's a
It has to be said.
hypocrisy. It's a hypocrisy. It's a clear hypocrisy. And it's so funny because and you'll also notice like I make it sound like they were applying for a job. You know, like the way that they present themselves as the best version of themselves when they pray. And then as soon as the danger is over, it all goes to hell. Right? So, and that is one of the things that young Caymanians get angry about. So it's one of the things that I've written about. But I have poems in here that I can't read on your podcast because, you know, I can't be an honest Caymanian and not cuss a little.
Well, this is a easy speak.
I
You
can't.
can do it.
This is
Sing
this
songs
is
to
If
my
you have to
people.
curse, we're gonna allow it. If you have to curse
Yeah.
someone or some,
Honestly, it's to spark
this is the
curiosity.
space.
Yeah.
I think this is.
exactly.
Okay, fair
You
enough.
know, exactly. We gotta.
Fair
I'm
enough.
super curious, and I think like
Plus,
we're
this
all
is an
wanna see?
artistic
We gotta
TV
hear more.
expression show.
Yeah.
So I just want everyone to notice that they're clamoring for me to read something with a cuss word.
I know we're peer pressuring you, and you're like giving.
I'm looking for the right one, Papa. Oh, yes, I'm okay. I'm gonna find one. There's one that I have called Scranton Abandoned.
Scranton. Can you tell me where is Scranton for people who don't know?
It's a neighborhood in Georgetown
okay.
that has a very
Where-
colorful past.
Where's Scranton?
Scranton.
Scranton.
Where is this?
It's in central Georgetown. So
Which part?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But it's this is not specific to Scranton. It's just a name that is much more. It makes sense. Okay.
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh.
It's one of the
right?
parts
If
of
you know, you
Georgetown
know.
where
Okay.
there's a lot of buildings that are coming up, like corporate
Oh.
buildings. So it'll make sense when I read it. There is talk of prejudice, progress, growth in the high rises that have raised our fishing villages. In languages not native to our warm, wet tongues. Cold and spiritless, they roll from between sets of teeth, paid and cared for by our labors, sitting in seats at our tables, while we stand and serve, stoop and suffer, sit on stools, insulting squalor, surprising our well-landed ancestors who groan and mutter as they turn over under sand and water. They talk of laziness behind closed doors, frosted, heavy, with brass handles. Speak of sending drivers out to round up, register on public databases. Break, rein in, train in the ways of Cain, the slaves of the second wave. For survivors, eyes that have seen the North Sound swallow Georgetown, have a look about them. The wide-eyed could recover over years of healing, but flinch with each new dealing of disaster, louder, faster, coming new with every landing, docking, fucking traitorous approval of mangrove and reef removal. Okay. Some would call it grief. But these angry cycles do not stop. With each fresh betrayal, each new wet signature, notarized, land register, mortgaged, modified, selling ground to pay for provisions, light, shelter, water, as if we were not the sons and daughters of Abel. But we are less able with each kiss-sealed betrayal, every day more abandoned.
Wow. Oh my God.
Really deep.
Yeah. That's okay. No, you have to
Right?
get out there. Just like,
What do you say?
it's just,
You don't have to explain that. It's already.
It's obvious, right?
Of the second wave. It's just like the metaphor. I have to ask, like, because I also teach, like, I taught English, so like your language devices are so cool.
Thank
and
you.
just your metaphor, and then you play with your stanzas so well, and each has a theme. Did you also study English or like major in it?
No, I majored in the boring language subject of law. No, and you know, I
So
think
this
that's
is just on your own, like your brain.
this is my, but I'm a reader, right? And I think in many ways that's why I couldn't find joy in practicing law, because I think that law is such a precise use of language, and it's that it kills the soul of the art of words.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. You lost
really-
joy when you were practicing, like.
I couldn't write.
So much
I didn't write
semantics in
when
law.
I was
Okay.
when I was practicing law. I don't think I wrote anything during the time that I was studying and practicing, and I was tired of words, and I realized, because I've always loved words. I was one of those children that, you know, the teacher would have to, like, my report card, she talks too much. Classic. Present. That's me. Every single time. You too, right? Every single time she talks too much.
Okay.
You know, she needs to listen more.
That's why her boys have a lot of power now. I understand all
Maybe
this.
like
You think
because
so?
Practice
You have a lot.
so much.
You have a lot of power in your
Yeah.
words.
A lot of anger too, though, and I think in many ways I've taken it on as my responsibility to be the voice for my generation. You know, my generation is one of the last generations where all of the Caymanian kids went to one high school. My year group was the majority of the cohort of people born in that year. When we graduated, it was all of us, right? So we know each other, and it's a group of people that has shout out to my class, but they're now the parents of the next generation. They are now the people in workplaces that are the backbones of the middle class. They are now, some of them have done incredibly well. Some of them have left Ireland, very few. But like, there's something that is very clear to me, and that is that too many of our people feel as though they don't have a voice, right? Or they're only permitted to use their voice in certain places, like church. Right, you know, you know what I mean. Like,
somehow it causes a frustration in the young ones.
I think so.
Nowadays, because I personally, the time I have been here on the island is very obvious. You can see it on social media is a way they find to express, because they really the government do not listen to what they say, or they don't consider really the situation going on. For example, the education here. I will say, because I have a Caymanian sister that she goes to school, and I've been there, and personally I think is not the best. In some
Yeah,
part.
well, I'm not going to buck my
I
toe on
won't
that
go
particular
all the way
political
there,
piece
yes,
for
but-
Jose's sake, but the truth of the matter is that there is a voicelessness, there's a sense of despair and not being heard that I think you're acknowledging.
Yes.
And it's multi-generational, but I think my generation is probably the start of it. We were the millennials that didn't make sense to the previous generation, which is all over the world, right? It's not just here, but one of the things that is happening is that the Caymanian voice is also being lost. And every time we talk about Caymanianness, there's always this throwback to the 1950s
Okay.
or the 1940s or what Cayman was, and there's no real acknowledgement of what Cayman is today. And that's where I
yeah.
feel like I have a role.
I guess what are some of the major differences you see between the 1950s and how life has changed? For example, at the same time, you've also like helped given opportunities to Carlos, and Carlos is from Honduras, right? Like
Yeah.
that's also kind of working through some kind of
Yeah, because
international
it's my partner.
opportunities. Yeah,
Your
exactly.
partner,
So
by the
like,
way.
in some ways, has it shaped or has local and international influence kind of molded Caymanian
So-
culture in a different way, or
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of answers to that, right? So one of the things is to be pro-Caymanian does not mean to be anti someone else.
yeah,
It does not automatically mean that, which is a very important distinction to make because there's a lot of vitriol and bigotry that then can come from that is never useful and does not actually get us to where we need to be. That's number one. Number two, to be Caymanian is to come from somewhere else.
Oh my God! Wait!
Oh, finally.
Hang on.
Finally. I mean, wait.
Whoa!
Hear me out.
Please.
In 1503, when these islands were discovered by Christopher Columbus, not one human being was living on these islands. So it is very so I'm an 11th generation Caymanian, right? So I am one of the descendants of the original settlers. So to be Caymanian, so work with me, just stay with me, Jose. To be Caymanian, we have to understand that we all came from somewhere else. However, there is an established Caymanian culture that existed, that developed through the relationship with the land and the sea, through the relationship with these islands and other islands, through the relationship between this island and the mother country, whatever you think of that, it exists. And that culture developed over time, and it still exists. But it exists in a modern way now, and now we're battling to hold on to it because things are disappearing. I'm loving that Z99 is doing this this whole series. I saw Reagan Rutty on Z99, and she was talking about like Caymanian words, the word pia pia. I was like, oh my God, I love this so much because we know these words. Shout out to our gorgeous Miss Cayman. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's amazing that not everyone knows that that's a Cayman word. It's not just, it's a Caribbean word, but it's also a very, very Caymanian word. Another one that came out the other day was the word gyalnipa. You know what gyalnipa is?
It's like a mosquito bite.
It's a big mosquito.
I knew it. I was like, oh my God.
I am
like,
so
I
proud of
knew it.
you.
Oh my God, I thought it was.
You know how many
I thought it was
Caymanians
like a
don't
big
know that?
nipple. Okay.
A
Oh, you know it.
gyalnipa.
Okay, I know it because I went to this food festival. This came.
Oh, in Joanna?
and then they were doing like where we from.
Set it on
3, 4,
video.
5.
Yeah. Joanna set it on video.
And I was
She
standing
gave
there
away a
watching her
Bond
doing
Town
it.
secret.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so like when I saw that, I saw the video on TikTok. I'm like, oh yes.
Yes.
But that's a word that my Uncle Alton, I write a poem about him in the book. I write a poem about a lot of the things that we're talking about are things that I've written about in the book. You know, so it's like stories and some of the stories, some of the modern stories, but also a little bit of where we're coming from. But one of the things you asked was like, what have we lost, right? And I can give there's one poem that definitely gives a sense of what is lost.
Before you continue,
Yeah.
I want to add to this part that we were talking about being Caymanian for generations. I was just recently talking today. Sorry, I was recently talking. I think it was with you, Jose, or I don't remember. But we were talking about I came here for the first time in 1994, and it's funny that sometimes I find young generation Caymanian telling me like if I don't know or I don't feel like them, but they don't even know what it was Cayman Island back in 1994 because they just born in 2000s, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in that sense, I said if they knew that I feel even more Caymanian than you that you just born, and just because I know how it was before, how
There's only one 7 Mile Beach. road.
when
One.
how people
One road and there was
why
a beach.
people get like
know?
nostalgic about certain things. I understand all that because
the
I came here and I
development was
saw
so
what it was.
rapid.
It was incredibly rapid.
The development seemed so fast that the loss was just like, wait, yeah,
So
you
there's
didn't have any
grief.
time to mourn.
And you know what
And that-
annoys me is that there are some people. Forgive me, Jose. This may be a political statement, but it's not targeting anyone. I'm putting my political caveats out there for Mr. Jose. What really gets my goat, really gets under my skin, pisses me off, is when they start to say, "Oh, but Caymanians don't believe in this. Caymanians aren't. This is not a Cayman story. This is what the expats want. They want us to stop development." That is absolute and utter bullshit. Young Caymanians are watching the beach disappear. They are watching their camping grounds disappear. Did you see it?
The video of the wall.
Yes.
From the Marriott and
Eating out they're watching. We cannot find shade to park a car under in Georgetown. It is boiling. They understand what we have lost. Like there's no shade, there are no trees, there's no requirement for trees to be put back in when they're torn out. And you see the flooding that we saw 2 weeks ago? That did not happen in the 80s. That did not happen in the 80s. It did not happen in the 90s. If Hurricane Ivan was to hit us today, we would have hundreds of people dead because of what we have
Absolutely.
done since 2001.
I
2004.
was here for
So
Ivan,
there
so
are
I know.
environmental consequences.
There are
that are
environmental
gonna
consequences
impact.
we're not paying attention to, and they're making it sound as though it is an expat concern. It is not. Young people in the schools, young people all over Cayman are having the same concerns. And I mean, I'm an old foot at this point, but when you hear young people, and you know, it's a generational issue where you see Gen Z, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of suicide. The suicide rate in the current young generation is astronomical.
Honestly, when I worked in the school,
You would see it.
Yeah, like each charity was something to do with mental health.
It would
And
have
it
to be
was, yeah,
because these are kids that
Each
were
charity.
born
yeah.
to see destruction go throughout their entire lives and then be told and know in their spirit that climate change is a real thing and where we live may be uninhabitable when we are older.
or for their kids.
Or they're not having kids.
All right.
They're not having kids. A lot of them are like, we can't afford kids. We're millennials. We can't afford kids.
Ask
You know?
Alejandro, my cousin.
Okay, yeah.
But you see,
He
there's-
has a lot of concerns and he have issues and he has one kid.
He has a child.
yeah, of
That's-
course.
That's his struggle.
But you see what I'm saying? There's a fear for the future that is ingrained in that younger generation that we are not paying attention to. So I picked up my pen every other morning or so and I wrote something. But this is what we've lost.
Maybe search on Amazon Signs of Us.
Yes, it's up today. You should see it. Signs of Us by Annikki Hill. It's on Amazon as of today.
Okay.
It's also available in soft cover like this at the Book Note right now. Can I read this
And
one
it's
last
going
one?
to be displayed in the gallery also, as
Yes,
we
it
speak
will.
before. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
stand there with the books of Signs of Us,
I have your books for you. Yep, for
and
sure.
for everyone to come and buy these. I can consider this important piece of art there to buy. It's really good. I kind of love the way she speaks, how she writes. Obviously, very deep. Throws some. The meaning is powerful. It's impactful, and she just throwing facts.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and it's written in a really well, like you have such a good understanding of language.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you,
So it's
thank
it's
you.
just yeah.
This is my first love. Painting came after.
Oh,
I
really?
definitely. Like the word is my first love.
You were
Okay.
mentioning that these were part of 200 poems that you've had written throughout your
Throughout
entire...
my teenage years and my well, actually no, it's from my 20s onward, because none of my younger poems ended up in here, but I it was about 15 years of poetry that I just was just buried in my journals that I had sitting there all along, that had just been there with no purpose or no plan. And
What is like being in your head?
it's kind of weird, to be honest, because when I started to pull them all together, I was like, but there are themes here. Like, this is I'm pissed about something. Like, I'm angry. What is going on with me? Right? Why am I so angry? But then there's also like some really tender pieces about family, and you see like the things that we really care about are about family, about about the environment. Like I write about this woodpecker that would come to my back porch every day.
that.
Mangoes. Talk about the beach where we grew up going. Like my grandmother lived near a beach. We would cross the street, and it would be a line of children like ducklings, right? in various states of undress, walking across the street to go to the beach. So there's a whole poem about us fighting over coral rock,
Nice.
a coral head rock.
So sweet.
Called
Okay.
Gwyneth Bay, and my cousins they were reading it this weekend, and you could just see us reliving it together.
Oh my gosh,
You know, there's
that's
a-
so
the
beautiful. Like a
experience of
slice
it.
of your life, you know?
Yeah.
And also like things that Caymanians hold so dear. And I
Mhm.
honestly, what I would say, like when I come here, that's what I hold dear as well, the
Yeah.
beach. And that's
Yeah.
honestly why we have to preserve it, why we have
Yep.
to also think about sharing these perspectives
Mhm.
when it's being lost, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Yeah.
So you consider that your book
Mhm.
is gonna connect really properly with the Caymanians, but at the same time, you think it's a perfect book for people to learn more about Caymanians, or
Yes.
how you can
So in
express
the
your book.
introduction to my book, I explained the purpose of this writing, right? And one of the things that's really clear to me is that this is a collection of love letters to my people, and
That's nice.
these are love letters to my people, and it's a welcome to anyone who wants to know what we're about. But I also, and I'll just read it to you because it's something that I wrote very carefully.
or is something that is just for them, and it will probably be
You'll hear it in
too
your own
offensive
voice.
for
They will-
expats.
I don't think it would be too offensive because there is a clear acknowledgement of the fact that this is a tender thing that we're just trying very hard to protect.
Yes.
This is about protection. This is not about villainizing. This is about protection. But it does feel like that sometimes. You do feel like you're at war. And there are a lot of young people who are in workplaces where they're not treated well. There are a lot of people who are, not feeling like their needs are being met in school. Like there's so many things that are making Caymanians angry, but in particular the loss of the natural environment.
Well, then
It's
this is
mostly
a really
like
important.
preserving as well, right?
It's about preserving. I mean, this is what I say. Like, for my Caymanians entering this journey, I invite you to hear your own voice. Read these words aloud and hold them to your breast because they are first and foremost a love song to you. These words are built from the bones of our ancestors, now reborn as the sand on our beach. But I also say to visitors, or would-be tourists to our culture and our homeland, have a seat in my hammock, wrap yourself up in Nanu's crochet blanket, enjoy the salty sweet of Auntie's heavy cake, and remember our house when you leave this place. Your humanity is always welcome back, as we are nothing if not kind servants to the gods of hospitality, but you are warned to leave condescension, derision, and callous disregard at this threshold with your shoes, as we have unwittingly let too much of that in the door already. But never you mind, darling, the garbage always washes out with a good storm surge.
I like that last part. That's
From that point of
that's good.
from that perspective and point of view, I think it's a really important book for expats to buy it and understand a little bit what it's about to
Yeah.
be Caymanian, or how do they feel
Yeah.
I think if they read this book, I think that they will have better ways to move around local
There's an
people.
understanding, and
There's more
you know,
awareness,
if these poems are read with the grace and the humility that I hope that they are read with, I would expect that they would build more understanding. If they piss people off, it's the right people to piss off.
Understand?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because if you spot it, you got it. That's
Yeah,
where
fair
I'm at
enough.
with it, you know. But there's also something around sharing the beauty of what. So you know the Native American movement and that you're seeing coming, the revival of Native American advocacy in the United States is very much about reminding people we were here when your ancestors got here, right? We're in an interesting place because we are not native Caymanian. There's no such thing. But we have been here 300 years. And there's something that was found when you got here that we're simply asking you to respect, right? And so you'll see that that's a theme throughout the work. But there's also like pieces of the things that I love about Cayman that I'm bringing to life. And it's but once again, the definition of Caymanian, there are so many Caymanians. We're a mix, a melting pot. We always have been. We've always been a melting pot. Like Cayman was very closely mixed with Jamaica, with the Bay Islands, with Isla de Juventud is what it is now, but Isle of Pine, right? Nicaragua. Like these connections have always been there.
Honduras,
And Honduras,
Bay Islands,
Honduras, the
especially.
Bay Islands, yeah. La Ceiba and the Bay Islands. So there's this strong connection that our people have always had. So it's never been an unwelcoming culture. It wasn't an unwelcoming culture. But there's a defensiveness now as we see things disappear. Old trees that have been there for hundreds of years. Like beach that we were able to run 15 minutes across is now ocean. Right?
Or
like,
private
so-
property.
Yeah, something blocking it.
Or made
these
private,
private
yeah.
make
Oh,
private,
Don't get me
like,
started on that.
yeah, I mean,
That is a very hot topic.
I mean, I
right
gotta
now.
say, like,
So yeah.
I think it's
Well,
done.
I guess I want to ask,
have like
you know,
5 minutes.
with this,
to an hour.
well, I guess, can I ask, like, the main takeaway of your book is essentially, like, you are exploring Cayman identity. At the same time, you're getting, like, a lot of tourists or a lot of people like us, like, more, I would say, awareness. I guess, what would your next work, what would you like the theme to be? Like, you know?
I have a book that I'm working on right now that is the portrait of a village.
Cool.
And it is a description of the land that makes us who we are, but through a story. And I've found a very interesting way, and I hope I can get away with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull it off, but I'm really hoping that it works out. But it's a theme. It's a strange structure for a book, but I've really enjoyed writing it so far, and I'm hoping that others that read it understand it, because there is a all that is being expressed currently looks like frustration and grief, and then there's a division around who has been here the longest and who is new, and then there is this division around development and anti-development. But what is missing is a sense of what was lost. So this is my challenge now is to bring to life the spirit of Cayman in a timeless way. So that's the challenge for the next piece, and it's not poetry, it's prose. So
Okay.
wishing me some
Nice.
luck with that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that sounds
partway through it.
Really exciting. Thank
Cayman kind.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
let us know where you can find it.
Yeah.
So you can find my book on Amazon right now. It's called Signs of Us, an exploration of the Caymanian identity in poetry. And you can also find it at the Book Nook, and very soon at the Carlos Garcia Gallery in the Grove. You can find a copy of it here.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. And we always have a space for great art, as you know. And that book is I consider it's a really
It is a
Thank
piece
you.
of art.
great piece of
Well,
art.
you were
and
there when I
have
did the
it.
cover. Right here was when
Yeah.
right in this gallery.
You actually did.
Yeah, that's the one I asked you to take a picture of. Yeah, that's why I needed it. So the book cover
And-
was created right here.
And they shouldn't be scared about this book either. We're talking about the expat, because when we say expat, we have to clarify also that we're not attacking them or in this book, because we also understand that a lot of them they just come here to do well, do good too.
Yeah,
And it's
And
just
they're good people
it's just-
everywhere,
It's just
right?
like a manual for people
a
to
manual.
understand
Yeah,
Get
how
a little
to
bit of history.
how to
Yeah.
respect, how to approach, how to
this is to
love
help you read the
the
room.
island.
Honestly, the more you know, the less ignorant you are, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's a way to love and respect and take care of the island too. You know, because if you understand those feelings, then you understand why. So you will see the beach, the island, the nature. You're gonna see it in a different way. You're gonna try to respect that too. You're gonna try to take care of this too. You know.
Yeah.
So I guess this is really a good important book, and you need to come and buy this book. By the way, here you said it's going to be here in YouTube.
Amazon.
And
It's
Amazon.
on Amazon.
That's
And you
good.
can also follow me for any updates on any events, because we will be having several events up until December. I'm on Instagram at Annikki Hill Writes. I'm also on TikTok at Annikki Hill Writes. At Annikki Hill Writes everywhere.
And also, if you want buy her paints, which are beautiful, you can find it in the gallery here.
Yeah.
She always paint, and nothing. It was great to have you guys today.
Yeah.
It was a
This
great
so fun.
conversation.
Oh my gosh, I love the poems. Oh, I want to
Thank
read
you.
more.
Thank you. Well, you can. It's
I want to
there.
read the hopeful ones.
Yeah, the hopeful
And-
ones are great.
And subscribe to this channel also, our chemistry CG. That's it is our chemistry CG. To see more videos like this, we need support too, and we are doing this for the art, you know, to get to know artists like this, and
We invite anybody.
and yes, we're gonna start inviting like not only more artists, but also we want to invite all people to they want to get involved, and he want to say something important. He want to share knowledge. They are welcome, because that's what a debate is about.
yes,
Yes.
expression,
About
Yeah.
expression and get knowledge and get better.
creative expression.
Cool.
Thank
That
you.
was fun. Thank you.
for having me.
Yeah, that was so
Amazing.
good. Oh my gosh, we had so much.
Picture.
Yeah, this is so good. I really want to read your book.
Nice.